What is going on, guys? Joey Friends here at FLEXX Training Systems, and I am with the boys, young William and young Mikey. Say hello, boys.
What's up?
What's up, y'all?
And today we are gonna take the questions that you guys gave us from Instagram, and we're just gonna kind of go down the list. Um, I will be mindful of time, and we'll try to make this really informative for you guys. That being said, um, what are some tips or things to keep in mind or major differences between programming for males versus females? I will go with Will first.
So I would say one of the biggest things would be overall total volume and frequency, especially when it comes to the bench press. Um, they can usually they won't really benefit from like more so max work, so it's like something that you have to keep intensity higher for. But for the most part, it's just doing a little more than males, but like the way you frame it and everything is going to be pretty similar.
What do you think
Yeah,
about that, Mikey?
yeah, I agree. And sometimes I don't know if it's because they're like female or if it's just because they're like generally smaller, right? Because if you got like a super strong female, I know I've trained somebody that was like really strong. That was a girl that we tried higher frequency and it didn't work. So maybe it's also just because they're generally smaller muscles going to recover faster. So like obviously like a super versus like a 114 girl, the frequency is going to be like way different. But yeah, same thing. I push the frequency harder usually. Um, RP is a little bit higher, more consistently, and yeah,
I have no quarrels with those answers. I would just say that when you write like a 3x5 at a RPE 7, me, Mikey, and Will are all gonna have different 3x5s at RPE 7. So when we say higher volume, we're just meaning like relative to the person. A girl might be able to handle like a 4x5 or a 5x5 or something like that. Um, so that was a good answer. So do you guys have any tips for people that have knee pain when they're squatting?
who first?
You
Me.
you go first. My bad.
I think pretty much all tendon injuries are like overuse, right? So like first thing is like load manage. You're either gonna pull back in terms of total volume or total sets, or you can like reduce the load. Um, I also, for myself, I usually like to do like tempo work, which it feels better just because it's slow, but it also feels better because it's going to force you to use lighter weight. So it's kind of both of those. And then you could try widening your stance a little bit. You could try switching from, if you're in heels, maybe switch to flats. And I mean, I could get deeper into it,
Yeah,
like
that's
the
good. That's good.
recovery of it, but
Yeah,
I
go
think,
ahead,
yeah.
Will. What do you think, Will? You got anything for knee pain and squats?
So I would say getting on the bike before squatting or deadlifting, and then also like warming up the hamstrings a bit more before squatting. Another main issue I would probably look at is if you're coming up onto your toes when you get into the hole. But everything else is pretty much spot on what Mikey said.
And just to go on top of that, you want to make sure that your form. Some people genetically are just gonna stress one area of their body when they squat to depth more like than others, and there's not really much you're gonna be able to do about it. But you have to be aware of that, and just try to adjust your stance in a way that is like both strong for you and also sustainable. Usually, if it's your strongest stance, it will probably be sustainable, but not always, because there's definitely times when like I'll have a lifter where like I know that they're stronger this way, but it's just very hard for us to do that year round, and we have to like only use it for 8 weeks or only use it like intermittently. So I think those are good answers there. Um, so this person has long femurs and long arms, and they're wondering if they should switch to sumo. It's kind of a broad thing, but Will, what do you think about that?
Um, I mean, those aren't the only things that matter, but also your torso angle matter, or your torso length rather. If you have a short torso, that makes it even better. But um, I've found that people with longer torsos usually do a lot better with just pulling conventional. But I mean, you could also just try both at the same time. You could have one day be conventional, one day be sumo, and see check the patterns, how they're moving. If you're able to increase load a lot more on on one lift than the other, and then go based off that.
What do you got with Mikey? Long femurs, long arms. Should they switch to sumo? It's kind of a general question.
It doesn't say the torso length. It's just if
No.
it's long femurs alone, um, I think sumo is a good option to try for sure because you're kind of getting them out the way, right?
Mhm.
Because like in conventional, your femurs, it's just going to make your hips way further back from the bar, and then the
Yeah.
longer your femur is, the further your hips will be. But then again, like Will was saying, like if your torso is really long, it could change that. Yeah, just it depends on a lot of things, but it's worth a try for sure.
Yeah. The problems with questions like this is like everybody's super individual, and if you just like are more muscular from a conventional stance, sumo might just not be it for you, even though you have long arms and legs. So it really just depends. Um, it doesn't hurt to try both. Like you don't have to be like married to I can only do it this way. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I think about that. Next one. This person's asking about training in a commercial gym, specifically benching in a commercial gym. Every time they go there, it's shitty. You know, do we have any tips for like people that are like, how do I frame this? Like, I guess they're forced to train at a commercial gym. Maybe they would have to like travel like 45 minutes to get to a powerlifting gym, but the one right down the street is got a commercial gym. So like, it's just shitty every time. Do you guys have any tips for that? Mikey, you can go first.
I think it matters more if you're switching back and forth, right? Because if you get really strong on a comp bench and then you go to a commercial bench and you're like it's a thinner bench and it's probably lower to the ground, you're probably gonna have more range of motion. At least again, this is like personal experience. When I go to a commercial gym and I bench and the ROM is longer, I'll start getting like pec pain immediately. But if you train on a commercial bench all the time and your body's like adapted to that bench, you can still make really good progress and then go to a meet and maybe even feel a little bit stronger, like if you get on a comp bench.
What do you think, Will?
So for bench specifically, I've had some lifters like the actual bench that they're on won't be bolted into the ground. So if you have like flat plates, I tell them to put like tens onto the legs of the bench to elevate the bench a little more. So it
Mm.
kind of mimics a higher bench instead of, especially for taller lifters, it matters a lot. Or you could move one of the adjustable benches they use for like flatter incline dumbbell press and put that in a squat rack. People might fucking hate you, but like if it helps your bench, then it's gonna help your bench.
Yeah, for me, it's like if that's what you have and it's convenient, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But if you get closer to a meet, try to mix it in with the. I just had a girl today that started, and I told her, you know, you're using a commercial gym bar and a commercial bench. The grip is not even the same spot, and like I could like completely break down your form and help you out and try to fix your technique. But you're gonna go to a comp bench. It's gonna be taller. It's gonna be wider. Everything's gonna be all thrown off. Your hands are gonna be a different spot. And I mean, ideally, you should try to get on a comp bench. But if you can't, just be mindful that you're gonna probably have to lower RPE a little bit. You're probably going to like meet day is going to be like very different from what you're used to, but like Mikey said, it'll probably be in your favor if you're going, if you're just depending on primarily what you use mostly. Um, Next question here is like specific to Mikey. Uh, how did you feel? I'll just make it interesting. How did you feel after your meet, like the hours after the meet, and then how did you feel like having to handle lifters the next day?
So immediately after my meet, and I mean, I don't think they showed this on the live stream. They cut it off, but like even on the podium, like I could not hold it in. Like once I was on second place, and then they gave a meal, like they started playing the Swedish national anthem. I was like, bro, I was like, get me off this fucking podium and let me go back to my room
How
because I
many
was like,
times? Let me ask you. How many times during the meet did you feel like you had it, or was it only at the end?
see, see, I couldn't feel like I had it because I knew what happened at PA. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like I hit my bench, and then like people were getting hype, and I know people were like texting me and stuff, and I was like, nah, like I have to hit my deadlift. And then at the end when I hit that third pull, that's when I actually had a split second of feeling like, oh, I got this. Just because it was so not even because I didn't think he could pull it, but more because I was like, that was just so fucking crazy that like I feel like I should win now. Like that was just so
Did you not
crazy to
think you could
switch.
do it? How much do you think you had in the tank on that third? Five?
Oh shit, I don't know. That second one I think kind of gassed me a little bit because I was struggling so hard at the top, even though like the lift would have been easy if I held it. But maybe five, maybe I don't know.
I thought that if you would have got your second, you could have jumped five. But see, here's the thing: if you did it hook, it's we could talk coulda, shoulda, woulda all day. How did you feel the next day handling people? Were you like more chill about it, or were you like fucking even worse pissed?
That night I went out, I drank a little bit. I could, and then I got back to the room. My girl fell asleep like immediately, and I just was up in bed. I could not sleep. I was thinking about it the whole time.
Damn.
And then it was like 5 a.m. and I had to go handle Amanda at
Yeah.
7. And then so I was like, fuck, I can't go to sleep. So then I just went straight to the venue on no sleep. I mean, by that point I was like locked in on like task at hand. You know what I mean? I wasn't really thinking about it anymore. Um, and that was handling them was some pressure. It was some pressure mostly because I was like, all right, well, one, you just can't fuck it up. So I had to make sure they won. But like you want certain things, of course, I'm listening to you first. But then like Amanda wants certain things. Like she was trying to win best lifter. She was trying to like, and so like I'm trying to make calls both ways. You know what I mean? Like, all right,
I didn't feel like you like Amanda did the only thing with Amanda is like I wasn't there to like really get on her about the bench,
yeah.
which usually I'm there for, but it's hard because it's like in the moment, and then the grip on deadlift, right? It was a grip.
No, she just was took a huge jump. She was trying to pull to win best lifter,
Yeah, it was like a
like a
specific
jump we
thing.
wouldn't have taken normally. You know what I mean?
Well, if she would have made that, that just makes it harder for the next meet. So, but yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. The whole thing was nuts. We'll get back there though. So someone's asking if you have a short torso, what is going to be the better deadlift stance for you? My mind is already going crazy because I want to say 1,000 things, but I'm gonna let Will answer this one.
I would go with sumo.
Really? Why?
I mean, it works with both. To be honest, I would say the longer femurs would go longer femur, longer torso would or longer femur, shorter torso would be sumo, and then shorter femur, shorter torso would be conventional with long arms. But yeah,
Mikey, what do you think?
Yeah, that was my first answer. Both
I
because
was gonna
short. I mean,
say,
short torso is like it for deadlift either way.
yeah, I was gonna say if you have a short torso, just fucking flip a coin. Nah, try them both, see which one works better for you, and go with that.
I would just say get your back super jacked if you have short arms, pretty much.
There you go.
Or get a
This
long torso. I
this
mean,
next one I hate because it just like the mentality behind the question is just like not the way that you should be thinking if you want to be good in the sport. But they're asking, can you become uh like a great in like a really short amount of time? Like, can you be a good lifter, like a top lifter, in a short amount of time? There's like so much to break down there, but I'll let Mikey go first.
I mean, you can, right? It just depends, like, who are your parents? Like,
Yeah.
what are your
Yeah.
genetics like? Like, there's some freaks that come out of nowhere that, I mean, maybe they lifted in football, they lifted in other sports, but they never power lifted, and then they're just genetic freaks. They'll win that, it's like, or they'll be like top 3 their first year. And there's some people that, like me, I'm like on the other, not the other end of the spectrum. Like my genetics are pretty good, right? They have to be where I'm at.
Mhm.
But it's also taken me like 10 years to get to where I'm at. So it's like it just depends, person to person.
What do you think, Will?
I mean, straight up, the only way would be genetics, to be honest.
I don't like that question because it's like, what? Why does it matter if like at the end of the day, if you work for 10, like, if you're gonna be a champion, is it in 5 years or 10 years, like, um, you're gonna be a champion. So it's just like whatever it takes to get there, you just work your ass off, and sometimes there's gonna be someone that's stronger than you, but you beat them because you're just better on the day, like so. It should not be about like what do you want to do. Here's the thing: everybody wants a carrot at the end of the stick, and if you get it too fast, you don't know what to do with yourself. It's like people that get rich early in life; they're fucked up. Like they don't know how to be, they don't know how to act, they never had to work for shit, they don't have morals. They're all just like everything's easy, everything's free. So it's there's a lot of character building and positive shit that comes from the journey to like your desired destination. And it may not be you may achieve that destination and you may want it again or you may not want it. So it's like and on that journey to that destination, you might be like, I didn't even fucking like this. Like I don't even want this. So it's just the whole like that literally they're asking like how do I get rich quick? Like I mean invent something. I don't know. Be lucky. What else? Okay. When should you cut back on volume? I'll let Mikey go first.
I feel like this one's pretty straightforward. At least like the way I look at it. If someone's like consistently beat and they're always complaining like stuff's hurting, and then they're like maybe they even start downtrending in weights. You kind of go down the list. You make sure like stress levels, sleep, food, all that's like in check. And if all that's in check and they're still just feeling like shit all the time, then it's probably like they're just doing too much. If it's one of those things, then maybe address that first, and then you can kind of see how that plays out. Then volume, frequency next.
What do you got, Will?
Yeah, assuming everything, all those things are on point and you're not overshooting into oblivion like the previous session. Like, obviously, the pain and maybe even getting like your movement feeling rusty could also be a sign. But yeah, pretty much everything that Mikey said.
Yeah, I mean it depends. I cut back volume if we need to, or if there's like a meet coming up, or if we've been going good for about 3, 4 weeks. I'm like, okay, like you feel great. We're hitting PRs. We're moving forward. But it's probably good to pull you back because if we keep going down this road, you're eventually gonna break or something's gonna happen. Is it possible to have a sustainable career in powerlifting? Now, I'm gonna break this out in two. I'm assuming that this person means like as a job. Um, and I mean, I'll just let Mikey or Will go first. What do you think? Is it possible to have a
Uh,
sustainable career in powerlifting?
I would say if you're a good coach, definitely. Well, I don't know if he means coach or lifter.
He just said career in powerlifting.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
so
ways, I guess, right?
I would say coach, yeah, for sure. You just got to know your shit and produce. But in terms of an athlete, like over time, like your body deteriorates, so it depends how far or how long you can push that for. Because I mean, once you're old and beat up, you're not going to be able to be doing what you did in the past that got you there. So I would say not like a lifelong career, but
What
definitely it could definitely help you out
What do you got, Mikey?
later on.
Yeah, I think for the coaching aspect, like Will said, like just produce results. I mean, it's only that simple if you have like, I mean, like we're on under flex, right? So for us, it's just produce results. But like, let's say you're trying to go out and be a coach on your own. You're probably gonna have to be producing content, like putting a lot, growing yourself as a business and as a brand first, and then also producing on top of that. You know what I mean? Just to keep the business going. And then as an athlete, like Will was saying, like any sport, you can't do it forever. I mean, there's a couple that are doing it, like Dave Ricks and Tony Harris. Y'all know Tony Harris in
Yeah,
Hawaii,
but like
Yeah,
as a career, like are they
but
pulling
like,
in number? Are they making money?
yeah, making that money.
yeah, no, they're just still lifting heavy. But see, I don't think it's like as a lifter, probably not.
So I have two things in my notes here. One of them is when your body starts to deteriorate, how can you provide value? Mikey and Will and everybody is like Jesus, they all started out as lifters, and that's gonna last them like a long time. But there will come a time when like that like maybe they'll come to terms with it or they'll just have a change of heart. But like the biggest impact in the world, this is what I went through. I said honestly, like yeah, it'd be great if I was pushing 750 once a week, like for the gram or whatever. But I also think that like I can provide value in other ways, and that could possibly be more meaningful than like look a big lift, right? And it's all about providing value. Like, how do you enhance other people's experience in the space? And that you could do, like, if you lift or not. It's just It's very hard. So the next little thing I have here is that when Will, or I think it was Mikey that said Mikey said like if you're on your own, okay, so like if a phone company tries to compete with Apple, they're gonna get smashed, right? Like Apple's just a fucking juggernaut, like they're just at the top. And there's also like Samsung, not on the same level, but usually like if somebody has a phone, if you go outside right now and you find 10 people and ask what phone they have, it's gonna be one of those. It's not gonna be nothing else, right? You might find like a couple, like weird people that have like weird shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like you're not gonna. You see what I'm saying? So usually what happens is, um, like like when people come to Flex, for example, they're like, "Hi, I'm top 5 in the world. I wanna win." Or, "Hey, I see like all the lifters that work with Will or Mikey or whatever, and I wanna eventually like scale through that." And maybe like their goal is one day to be at the top, so people know that we're serious. We already have a reputation. We've been here a long time. It's very, very fucking hard to like make it on your own because you're competing with something that's already tried and true. Are you gonna freaking like put your money in the bank that's like been there for like 50 years and everybody knows has a good reputation and is solid? Or are you gonna like go with the brand new bank that nobody knows about and that shit could like go under tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like it's really really hard to do it on your own. As far as like being sustainable, I think you can make in this age you can make a career out of fucking anything as long as you can provide value and people want to see. If you can get people's attention for 15 seconds, the way it is now, I think you could make a living doing that. In the past, it was like you had to do it in a YouTube video. You had to do it for hours. You had to do it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. IG is like a minute, right? IG is a picture, right? But now it's
Mm.
like if you could get someone's attention for 10 seconds, like you'd probably be alright. It just depends. And I would say in this sport specifically, like we don't have like mega sponsors like bodybuilders do, or like just fitness, like or regular life cool like kids that want to be cool or whatever, so they buy like Young LA or GBT or whatever. Like powerlifting is different. It's like you either buying sleeves or there's no like powerlifting like clothes. Like I mean maybe I don't know. It's just not as monetizable.